We are concerned here with an act of humanity, with the maintaining of cultural values, and not least with a measure of considerable political importance.
Albert Einstein, the man who unlocked the universe with his mind, the man whose name became synonymous with genius, was not allowed to rest in peace. When he died on April 18, 1955, at Princeton Hospital in New Jersey, the world mourned. Newspapers across the globe announced the passing of the 76-year-old physicist, whose theory of relativity had reshaped modern science. His body was meant to be cremated, as per his final wishes. Nothing was to be left behind. No grave, no monument. Just ashes scattered quietly in an undisclosed location. But something happened that day. Something that Einstein never wanted. Something most people still don't know. The day Einstein died was marked by a profound sense of loss within the scientific community and beyond. As his body was prepared for the simple cremation he desired, the routine procedures of a hospital autopsy began. Overseeing this process was Dr. Thomas Stoltz Harvey, the 42-year-old chief pathologist at Princeton Hospital. Harvey had a solid medical background, a graduate of Yale Medical School, and held a position of authority within the institution. However, at that pivotal moment, driven by a perhaps misguided curiosity and a belief in the potential for scientific discovery, Dr. Harvey made an extraordinary and ethically questionable decision. Without seeking explicit consent from Einstein's immediate family, a crucial ethical breach even by the standards of the time, Harvey proceeded to remove Einstein's brain during the autopsy. The removal of the brain was a deliberate act, deviating from the standard scope of a routine pathological examination. Harvey meticulously photographed the intact organ from various angles, creating a visual record of its external features. Recognizing the need for long-term preservation, he then immersed the brain in a 10% formalin solution, a common method used to harden and prevent the decomposition of biological tissue. This initial step was crucial for any future anatomical study he envisioned. Following this, the brain was not returned to the body for the planned cremation. News of Harvey's actions eventually reached Einstein's son, Hans Albert Einstein, himself a respected engineering professor at the University of California, Berkeley. Understandably, Hans Albert was initially incensed by this unauthorized and disrespectful act, directly contravening his father's explicit wishes for his remains. However, Dr. Harvey, through persistent communication and appeals to the potential scientific value of studying his father's unique intellect, managed to secure a reluctant and arguably coerced permission from Hans Albert. But significantly, this consent came after the brain had already been removed and preserved. The ethical line had already been crossed. Contrary to any expectations of immediate scientific scrutiny, Einstein's brain did not find its way to a renowned research institution. Instead, Dr. Harvey took personal possession of the organ. He transported it to his laboratory at the University of Pennsylvania, where he further dissected it into approximately 240 blocks. These blocks were then embedded in celloidin, a process that allowed for the creation of thin, microscopic slides for detailed cellular analysis. Despite this meticulous preparation, years passed with little to no published research emerging from Harvey's possession of Einstein's brain. He moved across the United States, from Pennsylvania to Wichita, Kansas, where he worked as a medical supervisor at a biological testing lab, then to Missouri, where he briefly resumed practicing medicine. Throughout these relocations, the fragmented brain accompanied him, stored in various makeshift containers, jars filled with formalin, kept in coolers, and even in a cider box in the trunk of his car. The scientific community remained largely unaware of the brain's fate. The whereabouts of Einstein's brain remained an obscure and somewhat unsettling rumor within scientific circles for over 2 decades. It wasn't until the late 1970s that the story began to resurface in the public consciousness. In 1978, journalist Stephen Levy, then writing for the New Jersey Monthly, tracked down the reclusive Dr. Harvey in Wichita. Levy's subsequent article brought the bizarre tale of Einstein's missing brain to a wider audience, confirming the long-whispered rumors and raising significant ethical questions about Harvey's actions. Following the renewed attention, and perhaps feeling the pressure from the scientific community, Harvey began to share portions of Einstein's brain with researchers who requested them. Over the following years, approximately a dozen studies were conducted on these small samples. One of the earliest and most widely cited studies, led by Marion Diamond at the University of California, Berkeley, compared Einstein's brain tissue with that of control subjects. Published in 1985, the study claimed that Einstein had a higher proportion of glial cells to neurons in the left parietal lobe, an area associated with spatial reasoning and mathematical thought. However, this study was criticized for its small sample size and the fact that the control brains were from individuals of different ages and with unknown medical histories. In the 1990s, neuroscientist Sandra Whittleson at McMaster University in Canada analyzed photographs of Einstein's brain and compared them to those of control brains. Her study, published in The Lancet in 1999, suggested that Einstein's parietal lobes were 15% wider than average and lacked a fissure called the Sylvian fissure in a particular area, potentially contributing to enhanced spatial and mathematical abilities. Again, the conclusions were debated due to the limitations of using historical photographs and the small sample size. Other studies examined different regions of the brain, looking at sulcal patterns and neuronal density, but none yielded definitive or universally accepted explanations for Einstein's genius. The challenges of studying a single, decades-old brain and comparing it to diverse control groups proved significant hurdles. As the story of Einstein's brain unfolded, the narrative increasingly centered on Dr. Harvey himself. His motivations, his decades-long possession of the brain without significant scientific output, and the ethical implications of his unauthorized actions became the subject of intense debate within the scientific and bioethics communities. Was his initial act driven by genuine scientific curiosity, or was it a form of morbid fascination or even a misguided attempt to gain personal notoriety? The lack of transparency and the prolonged period of personal possession fueled these critical discussions. By the 1990s, Thomas Harvey's life had taken a turn. He lost his medical license in Kansas and went through a divorce. He lived a relatively quiet life, yet the remnants of Einstein's brain remained with him. Perhaps recognizing the weight and the unresolved nature of his possession, in 1998, Harvey, then in his 80s, decided to return what was left of Einstein's brain to the institution where it was removed, Princeton Hospital. He personally delivered the remaining fragments to Dr. Elliot Krauss, a pathologist at the hospital, marking a symbolic full circle in the strange journey of Einstein's brain. Today, fragments of Albert Einstein's brain are indeed preserved in two prominent institutions: the Mutter Museum in Philadelphia, known for its collection of medical oddities, and the National Museum of Health and Medicine in Silver Spring, Maryland. These institutions allow the public to view microscopic slides of the brain tissue that once housed the revolutionary mind. It's a tangible link to a scientific legend, yet it stands in stark contrast to his own wishes for anonymity and death. But as the original script highlighted, Einstein never consented to this. His desire for a quiet cremation and the scattering of his ashes was a clear indication of his wish to avoid posthumous fame or objectification. The removal and subsequent handling of his brain, however well-intentioned Dr. Harvey may have claimed to be, directly violated these wishes. Even in death, the world, it seems, couldn't let go of Albert Einstein. The insatiable curiosity surrounding his genius led to an act of profound disrespect, turning a part of his physical being into a scientific curiosity and a public spectacle. His mind, in life, wrestled with and ultimately solved some of the universe's deepest mysteries. But in the end, through its unauthorized removal and fragmented study, his very brain became a different kind of mystery. A testament to the complex intersection of scientific ambition, ethical boundaries, and the enduring fascination with exceptional intellect. The story of Einstein's stolen brain serves as a chilling reminder of the delicate balance between the pursuit of knowledge and the respect for individual autonomy, even in death.